For over 1,000 years, Western civilization has been stuck in a dark age of sexual repression and misinformation. We get an oversexed overload from the media, but nothing in the way of honest, helpful, practical information on sex and how to do it right. That sucks, and I'm fucking sick of it. My name's JV Altheras, and I've spent a couple decades learning everything I can about how to have amazing sex and more of it. Not in a classroom like a lot of people who talk about sex. I learned it all in the gutter, right where Mom told me I'd end up. It's my mission to bring an end to the sexual dark age with brutally honest talk and education on all aspects of sex and sexuality, in an atmosphere that will keep you entertained without treating you like an idiot. Shara and I are not doctors. Certifiable, perhaps, but not certified in any way. And that means we don't have to talk about vaginas and penises to maintain academic credibility. You got a problem with a vagina? Call a gynecologist. You want to learn more about pussies and cocks and how to make them happy? You've come to the right place. Greetings and welcome to episode 97 of Ending the Sexual Dark Age. As promised last time, we have a number of episodes that are already recorded in the can from the last year or so, and those are going to get released before we get on to any new material. So, this is part 1 of 2 of the Total Desire Recall episode, recorded in December 2018, shortly after the Desire trip. Part 2 will be released next week, then we'll have our episode recorded at Desire with a live kinky audience. And fortuitously, the first new content episode will be podcast episode 100 of Ending the Sexual Dark Age. And we're not sure what kind of foolishness we might try to pull off for that episode, but interesting conversations are being had. Anyway, for the moment, enjoy part 1 of Total Desire Recall.
It's now been just over 2 weeks since we returned from our 7th trip to Desire Resort in Cancun. And amazingly, we have our act together enough to do our recap in a timely fashion. Unlike last year, which took us roughly 5 months. I'm Cooper, and tonight I'm joined by...
Hey everybody, it's Ginger.
Hey, I can't believe we have our shit together. It's Dylan.
It's JV.
Shara.
And Tristan.
Tonight's presenting sponsor is us, and our trip this coming November back to Desire Resort, November 2nd through 9th. Get details at ssdesire.com. So, how are you all adjusting to being back in the real world post-Desire?
I'd like to be the first to say pants are bullshit.
Pants are bullshit. And JV, I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the kilt you generously donated to me.
Oh, you are very welcome. I'm glad it found a good home.
I will wear it in good health.
I want to follow on the footsteps of JV with a 3-word answer. Counting the days.
Yeah.
Yes.
I am just really surprised that it's only been about 2.5 weeks. It feels already like it's been half a year ago. And the thing is, it's not like, I don't remember what it feels like or anything. It feels great. I feel still energized because I was there. But it just feels like it was another planet and another age of life at this point.
Yeah. A lot happens these days in short amounts of time. And it's got this way of extending time.
We were able to take a long weekend for Thanksgiving, which is, nice when we can do it, but in our line of work, we certainly don't assume.
Mm-hmm.
We work plenty of holidays, but had 4 days off in a row, and that was my recovery from my vacation. And I slept, and I got loaded, and then I slept some more, and it was so good. It was everything I dreamed it could be.
I just didn't have a voice for a week, which was great because that means I didn't have to answer phones at work.
So I came back and I had a severe cold, but Tonya came back from, I almost said Los Angeles. She came back from New Orleans, and she had strep throat. And so for the entire week, after having been apart for 4 days because she left Desire ahead of time, we spent an entire week not touching each other or sleeping in the same bed. And that was the hardest part of recovery. However, boy, did we make up for some lost time after.
Well, you did give her a proper send-off. So,
oh, yeah.
I believe you had some good karma coming your way.
I mean, that was the... I keep mentioning it because I find it so amusing that Tonya's gangbang is the only direct sexual event that is on our schedule.
Wait, really?
We
You're
have
right.
we have
You're totally
workshops.
right. Yes.
We have orgy theme night, but we don't have like Tonya's gangbang was on the schedule, which meant everybody knew tonight Tonya is getting gangbanged. If I want to be part of that, I got to tell somebody.
Huh.
Yeah.
So it made me think that we as hosts could abuse our power in such a way of putting our own sexual events on the calendar.
Well, it definitely does seem like we haven't been trying hard enough, doesn't it? Like that.
We schedule so much fun at Desire, but we forget about the sex. We don't really forget about the sex.
We don't.
See,
we don't at all.
Like my pegging thing, I used to subtly mention that I wanted to turn it into a pegging train at the end, but I never put it on the fucking schedule. Maybe that's why it didn't happen.
Well, I bet you if you put "Run a Train on Cooper" on the schedule, you would get some attention.
I bet I would.
I'll be there, but I'll have like a portable train set with me. It's like, so this is what we're doing, right?
I just see Dylan arriving with Thomas the Tank Engine and a confused look on his face.
What about a metal model train and a violet wand?
Ooh, no, that is a hard no for me. That is a hard
Electricity,
no.
hard no from me too.
Yeah,
This is Tristan speaking.
Choo choo, motherfucker.
So, yeah, it's just I've tried it. I don't like it at all, and it's why I sort of developed the hack of being able to use my all metal Freddy glove to extend the electricity out to my playmates and not have to feel it on my fingers.
Ah,
That is a brilliant hack.
I know, but I'm not going to put that in my luggage because there's already all sorts of reasons why the TSA loves my luggage. And
Yeah.
seriously, a Freddy Krueger glove that's just begging for trouble, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know who was at Cooper and my anal class and demo, but Cooper, I haven't traveled with the tuning fork in a really long time.
Yeah.
And that gets them every single time because they call me over and they're like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "It's a sex toy." And they're like, "No, we've seen sex toys. They don't look like this. What
It's
the
like,
fuck's
well, I
going
can
on?"
assure you it has been in multiple asses.
Yeah, so it's always like I always have to carry it on, and they're always going to pull me over and call everyone over. And
Yeah, I got pulled this time, and I just said, "Look, I'm a sex educator, and there's a lot of sex toys in there. I'm not uncomfortable by them. You might be." So
right. I also got side eye from a female TSA agent for having enema douches, like enema bottles.
Actually, so I think I don't know. I can't speak to everybody else's experience, but my experience entering Mexico was the easiest I've ever had it.
yeah, clearly we need to fly Southwest.
I'll second that.
Yeah,
We had
but
a really smooth entry.
the one choke point that I had though was getting my luggage weight. Apparently, I'd had like 54 pounds in one bag and like 44 pounds in another bag, so I had to rearrange things on the fly in both of my checked bags, and that did involve in front of a crowd of about 150 people
yes,
waiting
all
in
the
line.
people on the line are watching you, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
And the thing is, it wasn't just that I had to like move around sex toys. It's that some of it was liquids like massage oils and lubes and things like that. So I was literally slinging lube between bags and then trying to push it all down so that I could fit it without breaking it at the same time. And it turned out that I got it. I had 50.2 pounds in one bag, and they finally let it pass. And then I was like,
who hasn't been there? Come on.
Did you open any young minds?
not the kind of minds I wanted to open up.
I had a guy in the Mexico airport on the way home. I was wearing my Desire logo hat, which doesn't say Desire anywhere on it. And there was this really tired-looking guy standing with his wife and 3 little kids. And he looked at me and he's like, Desire. And I'm like, yeah. And then the wife kind of looked up at me and she just looked tired. And it's like, man, you both wish you were there instead of wherever you went here.
Well, if they had kids, they were like at some family friendly.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Why did if we were Ginger, we would have chatted them up and dropped a line to them and say, hey, if you want to go back to Desire, why don't you come with us?
Ginger is the most amazing evangelist for this trip amongst people who are already in Mexico. It's just, it's like she's just pulling people in, like the TSA people who are looking at the sex toys. It's like, you should just come with us.
So I have a question for everybody.
Yes.
Are you still wearing your Desire bracelet?
I am.
I am.
I took mine off and it's on my bedside table.
Mean lady maybe cut mine off.
Boo! And you're a member. Fuck that.
Professionalism and crap. Stupid.
Although the customers probably would have liked it. Tell me more.
I just kept holding my arm under the table while I was doing the checkout procedure. And I think they were just too overwhelmed with the number of people checking out at once.
So I took mine off, and they never noticed. Not on me.
You do that every time.
I do it every time. They put it on too loose. It easily comes right off. So I have a complete set.
Well, you also do not look like the kind of person they're very concerned about sneaking into Desire.
Right, exactly.
I mean, they're not going to look at you and say, check her out. She doesn't have the wristband.
It's funny that you say that, because while we were sitting talking with Cece, they have security at all the open areas on the beach, and there's 3 of them that were trying to go up, and Cece's like, no, and security came running over there and made sure that they didn't get up in there. They didn't have their bands on, and Cece caught it right away. I've never seen her do that before, but she's like, no.
Yeah, I would venture to guess that everyone currently with a microphone in front of them right now probably doesn't ever need to wear a wristband to be able to walk around that place.
No, that's probably true.
Okay, but my beach bed was on the north side. I like to call my neighborhood where I stay the north side. My beach bed was on the far north side, so it's just steps from the next resort, right? And so people came by from that resort all the fucking time. And basically, I would just do a full pussy spread. I'd be laying on the bed and doing something, and I would immediately turn around and whip my legs open, and they would all just be like, that was my contribution. So
now I'm disappointed, Tristan, because I walked by and I didn't get the full pussy spread.
Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. We were asleep and you woke us up.
You were asleep.
Okay, come on.
And Cooper, you were probably coming from the other direction, so
I only do it from one direction.
No, I did.
I'm just saying.
I did the thing, where I walk by one way and say, "Oh, Tristan's here." I walk by the other way.
Oh, okay. Well,
so I need to keep remembering to visit the north side, because I actually spent a lot of time out on the ocean this time, but I never quite make it more than maybe 5 beds past CC's bar, and there's
which
so
is
many
the end of the official swing set beds.
Yeah, well, I keep
There's
heading over there.
There's a lot of hot stuff going on down there. I'm just saying. I still can't identify these people who are in this 3-way on the final bed.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I just kept asking people, were you in that 3-way on the bed? And they were like, no, I was in the one 4 beds over.
Okay, it's the 3-way district.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, now we know.
Ginger gets in the hammock with you.
Yeah. So it's cool on the north side, but don't tell anyone else, okay?
No, that's where
keep it cool. We have to keep it cool.
Yep.
Now, I do want to paint a visual picture here for people who have not been on this trip. Cece runs the bar that's actually on the beach, and it's out on a little pier thing. It's got what are those called? The hut type. The
thatched
it's a
thing?
hut, but I was thinking of something else.
Yeah.
And she's got a 4-sided bar with seats on each side, and it's a huge improvement over her old bar, which got washed away from a hurricane a few years ago. And I spent several breakfasts out there. I would go to the buffet and get my breakfast food and then go sit down with Cece because she makes drinks better than almost anyone at that resort. And she'll just make stuff for me and just whatever. Like, she invented the Cooper.
And remember, Cece has employees
doc.
that dispatch drinks from the bar to people in the beach beds.
She does.
Mm-hmm. And every morning I would get up there and I would just like stare out into the water.
Yes, and with all the best intentions of actually getting on the beach bed and waiting. We would sit at the bar for 4 hours till it was time to go to lunch.
Well, it started off, I was meditating and I just kind of got so lost in myself. And then the next thing I know, I hear Cece and she tries to be quiet. She really does. And because we were talking, I was telling her that that's what I like to do is because it's so peaceful before everybody starts coming up there. But then everybody starts coming up there, which is great. And we end up talking. So, I just kind of the whole day. Yes, normally I like to lay on the beach bed, but the whole day we were just partying with Cece. It was fun.
Do you still have your Desire wristband on?
I do. I actually took a picture, and as I was recording, I was trying to both sip tequila and show off my bracelet and have my mic and my headset on, and it didn't go very well, but I didn't really care. Posted
No wonder
anyway,
you vanished.
Grateful. No, it wasn't that at all, sadly. It was, as always, a little bit of technical difficulties, which actually it was working fine until then it wasn't. So here we are. But yes, I do have my bracelet on. So I got that going for me, which is nice.
So what I'd love to do is have each of us mention an event that we thought was top tier, that we were at or saw or were impressed by. I will go first. Caitlin and Kermit running speed dating. They took, so last year Kat and Flick took what Jin and Prof had done the year before, and they upped the game, and then Caitlin and Kermit took what Kat and Flick had done, and I think we're finally just running like smooth as silk for that thing. If only we could tone the loudness down. That we need sound dampeners in the room.
I like that the event has lineage now.
It does.
And so begat so and so.
Yeah. From one to another. But no, it's a great event, and I've heard nothing but really, really positive feedback, especially from people who were very hesitant to walk into an event with 75 couples and the promise of meeting everybody there, because that's intimidating.
Just a brief comment. I had really tried hard to do a lot of outreach in the beginning because we all knew that more than half the people attending, this was going to be the first time they were at Desire with us or Desire at all.
Yeah.
And so I spent a lot of time before that event meeting people. So over half of the couples that were in the new couple ring, because we did a little bit of ring. There was a joke there. We just had two, rings rotating. And
Dylan, I think the joke you were looking for is rim job. The outer rim, the inner rim.
It didn't ring true though, so I decided to skip it.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. But yeah, over half the couples I had already met, so we just kind of like hugged and continued on from wherever the conversation was when we, from that point on. It was really, really cool to meet everybody else. But it was just fun to kind of meet everybody that I just met, 12 hours ago or 2 hours ago.
I spent my time asking people what made them decide to take the plunge and come to Mexico with us. And that was a really cool way to do it. Because you know how it is, the weird, uneven podcast celebrity thing is they know an awful lot about me, and I know generally nothing about them. And so when I always feel that, okay, I need to ask them questions because they probably know the answers I have to things.
I'm going to shout out my very own class, How to Plan a Gangbang.
Oh, yay!
Because it was, so many people came up to me afterwards and they were like, oh my God, I tried to plan a gangbang and everything went wrong. And now I feel like I have all the tools and that's never going to go that badly ever again. And then other people were like, I'm planning a gangbang and you gave me all these new ideas. And other people were like, I didn't think I was planning a gangbang, but now I am because I took your class. So the feedback was just really, really good. And that's a new class that I'm sort of, I'm still kind of workshopping. So I also got feedback about like what people liked and which parts were slow and all that stuff. So I loved teaching that class and I feel like people loved taking that class.
Well, I've heard wonderful things about that class as well.
I did as well.
Yeah.
Tons of people talked about it. So I thought that was awesome.
And we'll be back right after this.
Hey, Dylan, guess what?
What's that, Ginger?
I'd love for you to come with me on this amazingly sex-positive, queer, and polyam-friendly, kink-aware, all-inclusive resort vacation in paradise.
Oh, really? This trip sounds great. Who are these people, and how did they get the elusive Ginger A. Bentham stamp of approval?
It has the sexiest name. It's called the Swingset Takes Desire. It takes place in Cancun, Mexico at Desire Riviera Maya, November 2nd through 9th, 2019. This trip to paradise is co-hosted by JV and Shara from Ending the Sexual Dark Age, Bradford and Angela from the By podcast, and special guest Tristan Taormino, author, podcaster, and creator of excellent, ethically produced porn. And you can find more information at swingsetdesire.com.
Oh, Ginger.
What?
Get with the times. Everybody knows about swingsetdesire.com. In fact, Life on the Swingset is hosting its 8th annual trip to paradise. Drop your information in the forum at swingsetdesire.com and boom! Hot tub happy hour.
No way! I can go there and come there too? There's this super hot harness I've been dying to use.
Absolutely. In fact, I invite you and all of our listeners to go to swingsetdesire.com and book your trip to join us for the Swingset Takes Desire, November 2nd through the 9th, 2019.
All right, Dylan, I'm on it. swingsetdesire.com.
You'll be glad you came.
Welcome back to Total Desire Recall, already in progress.
And the number of people participating on Gangbang Night was huge.
Well, truly, the more quality gangbangs, the better. It's just proof that we're doing our job.
I was actually talking to
out
someone today who was talking about how she would love to have a gangbang and also would love to go on a sexy vacation. And I said, well, these two things go well together in November.
Exactly. There's a place that you can do that.
And I assured her that we were her people because, you can't just go to any time to Desire. It's different I feel.
Oh, no, come on. You could get a 70s porno gangbang anytime you want.
So who wants that, JV?
I got a question, though. Help me and the rest of the audience out here because I maybe was otherwise involved, but where was this other than Tonya's gangbang happening? I'm curious. I want to hear your story.
There were other beds in use while Tonya's gangbang was happening.
Okay, so same location, just, yes.
There were other gangbangs, yeah.
But was there a gangbang theme night?
Yeah, it was Wednesday night, which was Tonya's official gangbang. But it was also gangbang theme night.
So in other words, to the patron that just commented on it, his comment, you didn't notice because you were involved in the Tonya gangbang.
And also, in fairness, we were not great at explaining the evening themes. And I take that on fully myself because they were an afterthought, and they sort of behaved like an afterthought.
Well, take solace in the fact that people got around to gangbanging whether they were invited to or not. That's the magic.
Right.
And there was hot guy on guy action.
But not during the bi-extravaganza or during the bi-extravaganza.
During the bi-extravaganza.
Great.
And other times there were blowjobs at the hot tub. I at least was involved in hot guy on guy action outside the hot tub area.
I was also involved in some hot guy on guy action in a room,
Nice.
a private guy on guy action.
So there was guy on guy action, which is what I've been hoping for Desire for a long time. That's good.
Delightful. I love that it's always prefaced by hot.
Hot.
Like it's not meh guy on guy action. It's not so guy on guy action. Trust me, people, this is hot.
And
guy
I've
on guy
had
action.
so
Whether it's
guy
private
on
or not.
guy action.
Well,
So
and every woman who sleeps with men has also, Cooper. Newsflash. Anyway.
So there it is.
There it is.
Not the guys at Desire. Not the guys at Swingset, just to be clear.
Well, no, we didn't think you were talking about us.
No, because also I find in general population that men don't know how to fuck with your fingers. Like it's like a disaster, and it's like, you know what? Let's just pass on that. Let's just do something else.
Huh.
But at Swingset Takes Desire, there's like some mad like straight guy finger skills. Is all I have to say.
So I don't even know who, because I am very, very, like, I love the fact that I love my hands and they do good things, but I don't know who to credit that for anymore, right? Like, I think, no, seriously, like, I can point to the reasons why I understand and have some very good skills at various kinks, to specific partners I've had. I can point to many very, very good friends and good partners for the reason I know how to listen and pay attention and stay in the moment. Like, I can point to almost everything that I have and thank people profusely for it, but I have no idea why I'm so good with my hands. I feel
a theory,
like
Dylan.
Go on.
It is specifically because you listen to partners. The reason general public guys are terrible with this, and also in general probably terrible with oral sex, is because they think they're doing a great job. Their playmate is too shy or afraid to redirect them, and it becomes this vicious cycle of, man, I'm good at this because no one's ever had any complaints.
Right, exactly.
But in non-monogamy, people are willing to make it clear when it's like, no, you're in the wrong place. Move your fucking... Let me do it for you.
Well, even if you're not getting the feedback, it's just a matter of paying attention to body language. And
paying attention.
Listen.
Well, and I also have to offer, having been on the receiving end of some of Dylan's dexterity.
Sometimes on podcasts.
Really?
I don't know if I remember.
I feel like it's happened once. I don't think it's happened more than once. And I think it was a
feel like it's
bedcast.
interesting that Dylan and I don't remember him fingering me on a podcast. But
how do you forget something like that, Ginger?
Let's recreate this moment.
yeah, see...
It was a bedcast.
Oh yeah.
No, I think it may. I don't believe that happened, and I am not one of those people that is, holier than thou who remembers every person I fucked. But I would remember if Dylan's fingers were in me during a bedcast with a lot of other people around, because usually when we do a bedcast, there are multiple people. I do remember, however.
We'll get all mic'd up. I'll sit behind you.
Oh, see, he gets that tone. Fuck.
Yeah, he does.
I'll just tease you a little bit while we podcast. A little bit more. We'll see how that goes.
I feel like it'll just be me talking at that point.
That's how it always is.
Oh, yeah. Ginger was making a point. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you. The key is, though, for Dylan, you need to be in front of me because your eye contact and your fingers work together in the most incredibly mysterious ways. I feel like I could spontaneously combust from across the courtyard when you look at me. So I'm just going to say you have eye contact like nobody's business. And when it's attached to your fingers, and that's a weird phrase, but, there it is. I think that, Tristan, you're right. These men are onto something, and it is delightful for the rest of us.
And I don't take it for granted, because I'm saying that, like, people with penises often forget that they have anything else, any other tools. And so I'm just always like pleasantly surprised, and I'm like, damn, like someone has taught you or something. Like, wow, those are amazing skills. So just an observation.
Hear to that.
Great.
So JV or Shara, one of you two, what event stands out to you?
Well, basically our entire week revolves around dungeon night. So it's difficult for anything else to
to stand in between that and our experience, which is not a bad thing. It felt like the dungeon ran like a Swiss watch this year.
Yeah.
It was actually quite excellent from the inside looking out, and we got a lot of great feedback. But we had more of everything this year. We had more tops. We had more patrons who stayed there most or all of the night. The feedback and critiques we got were very minor things and actually great ideas for next year. So felt like it was kind of a win all around.
I thought it was a great night. I mean, I thought it went, first of all, I'm really happy to see now that we've got gender parity with tops. And I think people really noticed that and were like, oh, I had the choice of like a ton of female tops. And I loved that. People really appreciated that. And it was just the vibe. You know, you never know how it's going to go. It's a lot of different people playing in really close quarters.
Yeah.
And you kind of don't know until you get there. But I loved it.
When I know Ophelia was feeling under the weather for most of the week, early week, and when Dungeon Night came along, I went back to our room and I said, oh, I'm not going to make you get up. You know, you want to relax in here, that's fine. But I feel like you will regret not being at Dungeon Night. And I came back about an hour later, and she was coming out of the room in her corset and stockings, and she had flogger and whips in her hands. And it's like, oh, I see we're going to Dungeon Night. And she went, and it turned her entire week around. Like, that little bit of, you know, because you know how hard it is when you get in your head, if you're not feeling great or you're feeling overwhelmed and anxious about so many people. And it is not always fair to her being partnered of a host, because that is a difficult position to be in. And to see how much good that does for her.
And, you know, the other thing is all of the tops, how they went back into the aftercare room and were able to spend time with the person that they, you know, had just been with. And so many people in the aftercare were extremely appreciative of that. And
that's wonderful.
It was kind of, you know, I always tried to leave and not be in the room, but just walking in or walking out of that room and watching that interaction was awesome, because I felt like last year we were short a few of the tops, and because the crowd was bigger than we had planned, and so they didn't really have time to do that. But this time,
well, yeah, the dynamic was different this year. It was, I mean, not to say that I'm completely. It's gone on in past years. You need somebody to spend 4 or 5 hours giving 25 consecutive floggings. I am still your guy. But it was nice to be able to actually take breaks in between scenes, you know, just enjoy the atmosphere and check in on people that I had worked with. So it was, there was just as much happening, but because we had more tops and because all the tops were capable, it took a lot of load off, and that was nice. And
Desire, again, having the food there for not just for the aftercare room, but brought up food for the tops so that they would have, you know. Valentine in food service did a great job for us. Yes, awesome.
Wait, there was food?
In the aftercare room, yeah.
Well, in the back too.
Pretty pictures of it. Oh, there was in the back. You're right. There was Sammy's back there and everything.
The back. Yeah, this is what I mean. I know there was food in the aftercare room, but I was leaving it for the aftercare people. And there was food in the back for tops. Like, okay, I didn't get that memo, and I'm gonna take advantage of that next.
Yeah, let's we'll let you know. Make sure you know, because during the first night of Panic at the Karaoke Disco, I actually requested a platter of sushi for the beginning of the show, because like the timing of that just always intersects with dinner. And they brought up a full ass 4-person platter of sushi for myself and Tonya, and we just kind of noshed on that throughout the night. It was really wonderful.
Hey, we have a question in the chat. Can I?
Oh, we do.
Oh, please.
Yes.
This person wants to know, how is traveling with BDSM gear? I've yet to need to do that. And then he says later, or she, it scares me given the number of terribly expensive floggers I own, like checking your luggage. So what are people's recommendations?
We've had no trouble at all.
Yeah, we put all the toys in one bag. We have a toy bag that looks like we're going to fucking war, and no one has ever messed with us.
Do you check it or do you carry it on?
We always check it.
And it has been inspected.
Oh, it's been opened up at the airport. Oh, yeah. But funny watching the customs people trying to figure out how to pick up everything in there with 2 fingers.
No, it's funny.
It's a little too heavy for that.
What's funny is when somebody that has been doing the inspecting for a long time has the newbie inspects the bag. You go inspect that bag.
And that's what it always is, too. Whoever's running the scanner, who is always higher up the totem pole.
But they've never taken anything from us.
Yeah. We've never lost anything. We get a few sideways glances. And as long as you're not embarrassed, own it. You'll have a good time.
Yeah, but I do a mix because I have heard of people's toys disappearing from checked luggage. So things that are super valuable to me or irreplaceable, I carry on. And things that can be replaced, except for my Enjoy toys, I check.
Yeah, because the thing that is most valuable is the Enjoy 11. And you can't carry that on because you could easily beat someone to death with that.
Yeah, they will consider that a weapon, will. Sure.
Yeah, imagine for
and obviously other things like if you have like any billy clubs or any like really intense like impact toys, you should check those.
Really, anything that looks like a weapon of any kind, really, you're better off checking, I think.
So Tristan, a question for you. When you made that comment, are you saying that they just disappeared from your luggage or it was taken away? So like when they inspected?
So I always lock my luggage, but as you know, the TSA can unlock them. And I know Midori, who's a sex and BDSM educator, has had floggers and other things stolen from her checked luggage.
Well, if they ever steal her chicken flogger, then it'll be noticeable.
I always take a photo of
I feel like it's only happened once to me, and I can't even remember now what it was, but it was something replaceable.
Well, interesting, on our way back, when we landed, they pulled us aside and said, did you just get your luggage? And said, yes. Did you open it to get a sweater out or anything? I said, no. They said, okay, well, we're going to pull you over here. So do you know why we're doing that? And I am like, no. And they said, well, because Delta puts a red seal on it. And 3 of yours out of your 4 did not have a seal. So we need you to make sure that nothing was taken out of there, from a Delta representative.
I should have unrolled a burrito of pain right there on the counter. I used a towel to roll up our impact toys so that I can lay them out easily, and it's just kind of like a burrito full of pain. And I haven't put that on display for any airport personnel yet.
No, you saved that.
That was my move. That was my moment. I didn't seize it.
Yeah.
You saved that for me when we were at the airport the first time and you went to park the vehicle.
Oh, yeah. Well, like Dylan was talking about earlier, I have had to do some curbside rearranging of the toy bag.
Tried to make it me, but I kept going, where is he?
Where is Captain Shameless?
We used to use, back when the Wii was still in use, we used to use our Wii Fit to measure the luggage.
The weight.
It was great. So, Ginger, how about your standout event?
Oh, gosh. One of the things as far as standout events go, I mean, topping during Dungeon Night was really an outstanding experience for me. I loved every single one of those experiences. I enjoyed myself so much that some people were like, wow, you are some fucked up bitch. Like, your face was so excited when you were beating the hell out of all of these people. And I'm like, yeah, because that's the point, is the flow of pleasure and the flow of pain and all that good stuff. Like, I really had great conversations with people. So it wasn't so much an event for me as much as it was connecting. Well, part of it was via Dungeon Night, and part of it was just those awesome conversations that one has during Hot Tub Happy Hour. And I really just took as much time as I could to sink into those conversations and have what felt like more personal experiences for myself, if that makes sense. All of the events, I really opened my mind. I shared this on our live podcast. I really opened my mind to being back there for a first time. Because we had a stretch of years with Prof and I that every year seemed to have a different sort of thing going on. And one year we weren't there, and none of it was bad per se. It was just I was not in a space to really sink into enjoying paradise and really chasing my pleasure and chasing my pain in some cases to talk about that a little bit. And I really felt delightedly selfish in some ways, but also felt very giving in lots of other ways. And that balance was, for me, really defining of the experience. And the experience that JV we were talking about at the beginning, where we had a kink experience that was really fun, where no, that was perfectly fine. I came in cold from Wi-Fi issues, so that's no good. But point being, we had a debrief, if you will, with some dungeon night folks in our space, and it, as one always expects, it evolves or devolves into people giving each other pain and banter and all these things. And one of the things that I fell into doing, and was the kink toy show and tell with the demo. I really enjoyed myself there because I really enjoyed watching people learning. That was a really neat piece of the puzzle. But part of that was I happened to be collared that day, and it had been a while since I had, and Prof had asked me to be JV's table. I'm just saying table. Thank you. So I was his table, as he needed a little bit of relief from the implements he was trying to show, but also working the mic at the same, holding the mic at the same time. And that then parlayed into an experience where I was a table again in a more private space. And this particular table had her hair down, and JV, you jump in at any point here, but I was enjoying the single tail whip as compliments of JV. And at one point, I just did that quick inhale that one does when you're experiencing pain. And I inhaled my hair, which is actually quite long. And that was my first experience of having to yellow and then red out of a scene. Because I was like, gosh, I need to do that. So that for me was just a really delightful edge to hit. And it really summed up that experience of enjoying every single interaction for what it was, whether I was in the dungeon topping, whether I was on the beach and I was cozied in hugging and loving a beautiful goddess who was having a moment, like whatever it was, I was just really working to be fully present. So that was just one of those that you can't not be present when you can't breathe because hair's going down your throat and you have to use your safe word. So there it is. It was delightful.
Yeah, and there's actually just a little bit more to that she's leaving out. She groans.
And then there's Sexy Pixie, who was like, "Oh my, I Ginger needs help, but I'm busy right now playing a little bit here and blindfolding somebody. But wait, does Ginger need help?" She was like, poor Sexy Pixie was like torn as to what to do, and then she said, "Okay, JV and Prof have this."
Well, and if I was ever going to get a safe word out of Ginger, believe me, that was about the lamest way to get it. I mean, I really would expect more from myself. But so after she reset
keep trying,
for a second,
JV.
I promise. Okay. After she had a chance to reset and catch her breath, she laid down to relax a little bit. Put a towel over her to warm up. And she went to take a drink of water, and she pours a bunch of water right down her nose because she's laying down and basically waterboarding herself. Like she was on a mission of self-harm, and she didn't even realize it.
Hey, Jen, I did that at the end of the pegging demo.
Well, there you go. See? It happens.
It's a Swingset tradition.
I have a question for everybody, because this is the number one thing I'm getting from people who are curious about the trip who have not done this before. There's a lot of this, I'm not a swinger, I'm poly, will this be okay? I'm not kinky, is this a kinky event? I'm not into sex without getting to know people. And I'd love your take on what makes it unique, because I answer this question all the time, but I don't think I've ever gotten your answers to this question. And so I'm very curious what you think.
If I could, I'm going to step in real quick and say that for me, it's so many different things. It's the minute you walk in and you're greeted by the swing set, somebody's always there and saying hello, and it's like old home week, and it could be your first time there, and you make everybody feel like right at home. And so that's number one, because I think that it sets the swing set apart from any of the other trips that people go on, because you make people feel so welcomed, and whatever you choose is your thing, and you want to try or you want to just sit back and watch, it's all okay. And I had this trip some great conversations with some people, and after the dungeon night we had a lot of questions from people, and would you teach me how to do this, and so we worked with couples, in private, just to let them feel better about what they wanted to learn and what they wanted to expand on. And I know that all of you did the same thing. So for me, it's that, but it's also, I'm going to use Ophelia as a great example. I was having a day that I was, just didn't want to really sit and talk with a bunch of people. And so Ophelia and I went off and we ate, and she sat there with me, and it turned out that people joined us, but that was good. It was okay. But, but I mean, she just was that giving of herself, and she saw that I really wanted that, and she just opened up, and I know she wasn't feeling the best. So for her to do that. So I see that in everyone there. It's not just the swing set, but you make people feel so comfortable that they want to do that too. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And we make people, not us. We. Shara, you're part of that.
Well, like I said, it's everybody. I mean, I met some new people. Thank you. But I mean, I met some great new people that have never been on the trip before. Great conversations, and it was an experience to be able to share with people the experiences that I have had, and then they couldn't wait to book their next trip. And it's more about just the feeling that you get of being there with the group.
I talked to a lot of new people too, and the thing that I heard over and over was, I got here, I didn't know what to expect, and the first thing that I have to say is, it didn't seem clicky at all.
Yay! We finally conquered the click problem.
I'm really happy about that.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like people just started talking to me, and I was like, well, yeah, that's what people do. But yeah, they said, I feel like people just started talking to me, and it was like, oh, hey, do you want to grab you want to grab food after the meet and greet? And they felt sort of incorporated pretty quickly. And then I also think this is like a question people have in general about events like this, is like, we have all these ideas of what it's going to be and what it's not going to be. And I think people need to know that this really is, you are co-creating the event. It's a dynamic live thing. Yeah. It's a being, and we're co-creating it as we go. So we can give you a schedule, and we can tell you what happened last year, and we can give you the general parameters, but we're all co-creating it, right? We're all co-creating it together. And I also feel like there are so many kink curious people this year who just loved watching the dungeon and talking and asking questions. So also, I don't know if the other tops got this, but like tons of people didn't sign up to play, but they like had questions about your scenes, or you got to talk to them later for like 5 minutes or something. And I did a little private tutorial after that. So I really do feel like no one should feel
like they're outside of it. I feel like everyone is inside.
And I agree. And one of the things that I noticed on Dungeon Night was some people wanted to talk maybe with you directly, Tristan, or with Swinger Doc, just Sexy Pixie, or they wanted to get flogged by Sexy Pixie, or whatever their dream come true may have been. It may have just been a simple conversation, but every single one of you took the time to spend with them, whether it was just like you said, a conversation or they had questions, or they wanted to, have a scene. Everyone was so accommodating, and I think that is awesome, because it's a lot of it's for a top. I'm sure that it's a lot of energy, just like it is for a submissive or a bottom. It's a lot of energy for the top to have to think about what they're going to do with that person, and how are they going to handle it, and how well do they know them. So I think that the classes were good for people too, because it gave them some ideas and questions to ask as well. So I just think overall it was such a great experience. And this trip was extremely eye-opener for me because I saw so much where everybody felt comfortable, did not feel, like you said, cliquey at all. They all felt comfortable.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'll go now, I guess. Shara just finished. So I tell people that the trip is like a carnival mirror. You will get whatever you put into it magnified and thrown back at you. You know, if you show up to be the life of the party, it is a great place to do that. If you fall into, if you go into a spiral or down the rabbit hole where you're feeling introverted, you can really seal yourself off. So it's important to pay attention to your partner and pay attention to yourself. But, as far as what kind of people, I've just always told anybody, we got people like you there. Yeah. We last year on our podcast, one of our listeners who's been coming for a number of years, shared that after 3 years on that trip, they had finally gotten up the courage to invite another couple back to their room. And they had not been disappointed by previous trips. That was just their experience taking its next step. So there's not any too fast, too slow. You want to come to be a professional voyeur for the greatest show on earth for a week, come and do that too.
Yeah, plenty of people come and they don't have sex with other people except their partner. And like you can see, it's just such a sexually charged environment. Like you can see how that could be a hot vacation, even if it's just the two of you, because you're surrounded by people you can make out with, classes, things to look at.
So now, unfortunately, I think we have to say goodbye to Tristan for the evening. But
I have a very early flight at 6 a.m. to New Orleans tomorrow.
Wow, that's a cool place
have
to
fun.
go. Yeah.
I'm sorry that Tony isn't there to greet you.
But I have to finish packing for that week in New Orleans. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight, Tristan.
Yes,
and thank you so much again for coming with us to Mexico, because you add so much to the trip, and we really love your contribution.
Well, it's my pleasure, for reals.
We're going to leave it right there and continue on with part 2 in 2 weeks. In the meantime, thank you once again to Tristan Taormino for joining us on our Total Desire Recall episode. You can find her at tristantaormino.com. You can find JV and Shara at sexualdarkage.com, and as always, find Cooper at coopersbeckett.com, Ginger at gingerbentham.com, and me at dylanthomas.com.
And that brings this episode to a close. We look forward to hopefully entertaining you again next time. And until then, this is JV and Shara reminding you that sex is one of the greatest things in life, but there is always room for better.
Always.